The world ended not with a bang, but with a whisper. One morning, every adult, everyone over the age of 18 was just gone. No goodbyes, no explanations, just silence. For me, Anna, and my little brother, Sam, that silence was the loudest sound we'd ever heard. I was 17, Sam was 10. Overnight, I became his parent, his protector, his everything. Our world, once filled with school, friends, and the comforting arguments of our parents, had shrunk to the four walls of our suburban home, and then to whatever we could carry on our backs. The first few weeks were chaos. Kids ran wild, forming tribes, claiming territories. Supermarkets were battlegrounds. We stayed hidden, living off canned goods from our pantry. I'd read every survival book I could find online before the internet went down. I learned to purify water, to patch up wounds, to be invisible. Sam was my shadow. His big brown eyes watched my every move. He'd lost his childhood, and I'd lost mine to keep his innocence intact, or at least what was left of it. I told him it was a game, a big, long game of hide and seek. He was smart, though. He knew it wasn't a game. He just pretended for me. Our first real test came when the food ran out. We had to venture into the city. I remember my hands shaking as I packed our bags. A rusty baseball bat for protection, a map I'd drawn from memory, and a small, worn teddy bear for Sam. The city was a ghost town graffitied by despair. Smashed storefronts, abandoned cars, and the eerie silence broken only by the wind whistling through empty skyscrapers. We moved like phantoms, sticking to the shadows, my ears straining for any sound of another group. Other kids weren't always friendly. Desperation makes monsters of us all. We found a library. It felt like a sanctuary. Dust motes danced in the sunbeams, slicing through the grimy windows, while I scavenged for anything useful, map-s. Maybe even a forgotten granola bar. Sam found the children's section. He sat on a tiny chair, a picture book open on his lap, tracing the colorful drawings of animals that probably no longer existed. For a moment, he was just a kid again. That single image burned into my memory. It was what I was fighting for, not just our survival, but for moments like that. For the chance for him to just be a kid. One evening, huddled in a dusty old bookstore, we heard them. A group, maybe a dozen kids, their voices echoing in the street. They were older, bigger. Their laughter was sharp, cruel. We flattened ourselves behind a towering shelf of forgotten novels. I held my breath, my arm protectively around Sam, who was trembling. My heart hammered against my ribs. The bat felt heavy and useless in my hand. They were ransacking the shop next door, their shouts getting closer. I looked at Sam, his face pale in the gloom. I put a finger to my lips, and then pointed to a small ventilation shaft near the floor. It was our only way out. Crawling through that dark, narrow space was terrifying. Cobwebs clung to my face. The smell of dust and decay filled my lungs. Sam was right behind me, his small hands holding onto my ankles. I could hear the other groups smashing things in the bookstore now, their voices right above us. We crawled for what felt like an eternity, the rough metal scraping our knees until we saw a faint sliver of moonlight. We pushed out a grate and tumbled into a quiet alleyway, gasping for the cold night air. We were safe, for now. We ran, not looking back, until our legs burned and our lungs ached. We eventually found refuge in an old, abandoned observatory on a hill overlooking the city. It was far from the chaos defensible. From up there, the dead city looked almost peaceful under the blanket of stars. The telescope still worked. Some nights, Sam and I would take turns looking at the moon, at Jupiter and its tiny moons. It was a reminder that there was a vast, beautiful universe beyond our broken world. It gave us a sense of scale, a feeling that our struggles, as immense as they felt, were just a tiny part of something much, much bigger. One night, as we were looking at the stars, Sam asked me, "Anna, do you think they're ever coming back?" He meant our parents, everyone. I didn't have an answer. The lie about the game had long since faded. I looked at his hopeful face, illuminated by the faint starlight, and I couldn't bring myself to say no. So I said, "I don't know, Sammy, but even if they don't, we have each other, and we're going to make it. I promise." It was a promise I had no idea how to keep, but it was the only thing I had to give. Months turned into a year. We learned the rhythm of this new world. We planted a small garden on the observatory grounds. I taught Sam to read using the books from the library. He taught me how to find constellations. We weren't just surviving anymore, we were living. We had routines. We had laughter. We had hope. We found a shortwave radio and spent hours every night twisting the dial, listening to the static, hoping to hear another voice. And then one night it happened. Crackle, a burst of static, and then a voice. Faint but clear. Hello, is anyone out there? Is this Beacon? We're in the north. We have a community. Is anyone out there? Tears streamed down my face. I grabbed the microphone, my hand shaking. Sam was jumping up and down, his eyes wide with a joy I hadn't seen in so long. After all this time, we weren't alone. There were others. There was a future. I looked at the map, my mind racing. The north. It was a long journey, a dangerous one. We would have to leave our safe haven and face the broken world again. But this time we weren't just running away from something. We were running towards something. It's towards a new beginning. As the sun rose the next morning, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we packed our bags one last time. The city below was still quiet, still broken. But for the first time, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a starting point. I looked at Sam, who was staring at the horizon with a determined look on his face. He wasn't the scared little boy I had to protect anymore. He was a survivor. We both were. Took one last look at our home on the hill, and then together, we started walking north. Towards the sound of a voice in the static. Towards hope. Thank you for listening to our story. If you're going through a tough time, please remember you're not alone, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.